Iran Army chief utters nuclear hint. Hey everyone, Johnny here, Don't Speak News. Well, this is news that people should be speaking about, but we don't hear nearly enough about this, about Iran potentially possessing nuclear weapons. We've talked about this before on this channel and website many times, but it's been a while. So here we go from Hal Turner just a little bit ago. Iranian Army chief says Iran nuclear technology and the goal of achieving nukes cannot be eliminated through demand of the US or international pressure. He then confirms reports. If the US strikes Tehran, then the IRGC will test its first nuclear capabilities during war. In possibly related news, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu convened a very limited security consultation today. The talks were limited to Israel's chief of staff and the defense minister to discuss Iran. Things that make you go, indeed. But like it says here, the Iranian army chief said they're going to test their first nuclear weapon during war. Well, it very well could happen. I've shown you guys this report many times, but it's been a while. From the LA Times, May 1st, 1992, Iran-Kazakhstan nuclear deal reported. From the Associated Press at the time, Iran has obtained at least 2 nuclear warheads that have been reported missing from Kazakhstan, the European newspaper said Thursday. The article, which cites a secret report from the Russian Foreign Intelligence Agency, again raises questions about whether the successors to the Soviet Union will be able to control their most dangerous weapons. And at that time, I remember it very clearly that this was happening and that the world was very concerned that the former Soviet Union now, which dissolved in 91, was not going to be able to control all their nuclear warheads. Because remember, they were spread out across the entire Soviet Union. So they were spread out over a huge geographical area, and there was no guarantees that all the former nations of the Soviet Union were going to just hand them over. But most of them did, but not everybody. So the European did not say how it had obtained the intelligence report. They quoted the report as saying several nuclear warheads vanished from this Semipalatinsk nuclear site in Kazakhstan, which the republic's president, Nursultan Nazarbayev, closed earlier this year. So the Europeans had some intelligence sources believe that Nazarbayev was behind the secret nuclear weapons transfer to Iran, trading warheads for oil or hard cash, maybe both, who knows. I'll put the link up again, like I always do, on the website, don'tspeaknews.com. So what we're seeing here could very well be true and going to be happening soon when this war kicks off. And there's all indications that it will. So Hal Turner says for about the past week, most folks have noticed a stark change of political tone by the U.S. and Israel concerning Iran. Quite a number of people who did notice made remarks about the U.S. and Israel, saying they know something or they found out something. Perhaps the remarks by the Iran army chief is what the U.S. and Israel now know. Perhaps Iran already has one or more actual working nuclear weapons. For years, we've heard such rumors. We've heard claims that got such weapons from Pakistan, to other claims that got weapons from North Korea, always without proof, except for this article. Just saying. So, but now the world sees a very discernible shaping of political speak from the U.S. and Israel concerning Iran. Maybe the rumors we've heard for years turned out to be true? Question mark? I don't know. I suspect, but I do not know. No, and I can't say that absolutely no with 100% certainty either. But yet there it was, being reported by the LA Times and the Associated Press back in May of 1992, back at a time when everybody was truly concerned and worried about Soviet nuclear weapons leaking out to the world because the Soviet Union had just recently dissolved and everything was in chaos and everybody was desperate for money. It was a horrible time, the 90s, for the former Soviet Union. It took Russia a long time to recover from that. I don't think they really still have. But anyway, that would be for a different video. I just wanted to share this with you guys, and then I found some stuff on Telegram. This is the Israeli opposition leader who accidentally says the quiet part out loud on why Netanyahu is obsessed with war against Iran. He says Israel will stand united. There will be no opposition coalition during war with Iran. Prime Minister Netanyahu and I will put aside our differences for the defense of our country. All of Israel will unite behind our soldiers and pilots. This is from opposition leader and former Prime Minister Yair Lapid in a video address today. Now, Lapid echoed the sentiment in a Knesset plenum, stressing that all differences of opinion will be put into deep freeze until the conflict with Iran is over. And just like here in the United States, the opposition parties in Israel can always get along when it comes to war. It never fails. And then we have this. Israeli media frets that the Houthis are going to let loose a new class of missiles if the U.S. attacks Iran. Yemen's Ansar Allah militia are actively preparing to join a unity of front scenario in response to U.S. aggression against Iran. Key details are this. The Houthi-controlled areas have been placed on high alert with fighters staging live fire drills in at least 3 separate provinces. Emergency committees are convening to discuss contingencies for escalation, including preparations for enemy airstrikes and civil-military coordination for crisis scenarios. Military sources in Sana'a said that the Houthis are ready to introduce advanced long-range ballistic missiles, new models of which are capable of reaching deeper into regional targets, as well as a new generation of drones with increased range and payload capacities. Missile and radar systems have reportedly been deployed in the mountainous western area of Yemen, overlooking the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandab Strait. Live fire drills reportedly simulated raids, intel gathering, and infiltration against hypothetical American and Israeli positions, including light and medium weapons and drone support. Ansar Allah revolutionary leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi warned in a Ramadan prayer over the weekend that Yemen is confronting the Zionist arrogance, tyranny, and haughtiness, despite Israel and the U.S. extensive military, economic, intelligence, and media capabilities and significant political power. So Yemen is saying that they're ready, and the Israeli media is very concerned about it. And I'm sure the Israelis are as well, because they've had enough trouble with the missiles that they've already shot at them, meaning the Houthis from Yemen. Some of them get through, and now they have even more advanced weaponry that they're about to unleash. So, wow, this is not going to be pretty for Israel or the United States because of all the bases and troops they have in that region. Of course, they have been evacuating people from those bases and families, of course, as well. Prime Minister Netanyahu says, I have conveyed and clarified to the Ayatollah's regime that if they make what might be the gravest mistake in their history and attack the state of Israel, we will respond with a force they cannot even imagine. So Israel wants their Samson option. If this war starts to get out of control, which I imagine it will do quite quickly, this will escalate very quickly. So there we go. That was what Netanyahu had to say. Now, on the other side of the equation, here in the U.S., Vice President J.D. Vance and reportedly Tulsi Gabbard as well, and other reports that I've seen, have voiced concern over getting dragged into a prolonged conflict with Iran, and he's hoped for a diplomatic resolution according to Axios. And I have read, like I say, I have read this in other reports. Drudge had a report on it. The Associated Press had a report on it, that people within the administration are clashing over whether or not we should actually launch this war against Iran. So we'll see what actually happens, but you don't put 1/3 of your military in the Middle East just to let it sit there and look pretty. We're to play tiddlywinks. You're probably going to use it and do something horrible with it. And from what I saw an earlier report today on a video, I've watched so much stuff today, it's incredible. But anyway, I think it was Colonel Douglas McGregor said we had all kinds of refueling tankers over there. Like almost all of our tanker refueling force is in the Middle East right now. Pretty much every one of those refueling tankers that can fly, that isn't in maintenance right now, is in the Middle East. So that tells us even more. And we've gone through all the stuff they've already staged there. We don't have to go through all that again. All I can say, guys, is prayed up and prepped up at all times. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. And no one gets to the Father but through him. He's the ark. He's the only way out of this tribulation time. So seek him today while he still may be found, because time is running out very, very quickly. And it's the most important preparation that you could ever make. Because none of us is guaranteed any time in this world our next step could be our last one. Make sure your first step into eternity is to the right place. Seek Jesus Christ now while there's still time. Now, don'tspeaknews.com is home base for all that we do. I put a lot of stuff here that we just can't talk about anywhere else. So that's why we have a website, because we kept getting taken down 2 times on YouTube. I've lost 2 channels with 15,000 subscribers each, right? So I haven't put a lot of effort back into YouTube because I've already got 1 copyright strike and 1 guideline strike. So it's just a matter of time before the 3rd channel goes down. But anyway, I'll keep going as long as I possibly can. But that's why we have the website, because this will be our last stand, so to speak. When we get kicked off of everywhere else, we still have this for however long this lasts. But anyway, if you want to subscribe, there's a box to do so at the bottom of every article. You'll get 1 pop-up while you're here, and then, or you can click on this tab here, subscribe, contact Johnny. Type in your email, hit subscribe, and you'll get notified every time I put up a new post. Then the email for the website is don'tspeaknews@protonmail. That's how you get in touch with me. Then for channel support, we are listener supported only. As you see, there's no ads here on the website. And I don't have a bunch of irritating pop-ups and videos popping up and all this stuff. We are listener supported only. So if you want to support us, there's links to do so at the bottom of every article, or you can click channel support, and all the links to do so are right here. You can customize your amount if you wish. Buy me a coffee is here. We also have Cash App and Venmo. And that will be it for now. I will keep my eyes on things as always. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.